Annually, suicide is the one biggest leading cause of death globally. Nearly 1 million people commit suicide each year, with a ratio of 25 suicide attempts to every suicide resulting in death. East Asia's first world countries are typically shown to have an alarmingly high rate of suicide compared to the Western countries. In this voiceover presentation, we compared suicide rates and causes of this in China and in Japan.
Suicide cause in China. Mental illness such as depression has become a leading cause for suicide in China. A recent survey by the Chinese government stated that about 100 million of Chinese citizens are suffering from depression. Immense economic growth has also created a divide between Chinese citizens. Those with lower socioeconomic status and quality of life suffer from hopelessness, interpersonal dispute, and life pressure, therefore increasing the risk of suicide. Finally, despite efforts to regulate them, China remains awash with lethal pesticides. A small bottle of paraquat, a widely used herbicide, costs only 4 yuan, about 81 cents, and contain enough toxicity in a teaspoon to kill a person.
Like China, there are many links to mental illness being the main cause of suicide in Japan. People also often cite Japan's long tradition of honorable suicide for the high rate. The insurance system in Japan is very lax when it comes to paying out for suicide. So when all else fails, some people feel they can just kill themselves and the insurance will pay out. Another cause for suicide in Japan is bullying. Japan has a particularly high rate of bullying and it's quite common within the youth. There's also a higher rate of suicide in the LGBT community. Japan is a country that focuses heavily on fitting in. They value conformity, which is something that these people may struggle with.
That commit suicide in China are primarily female. They make up 56% of the world's female suicides. Speculation indicates that this is due to an aspect of Chinese culture where the woman is typically blamed for any family problems that happen to go wrong. In recent years, suicide among rural Chinese seniors has also become a disturbing trend. While mental illness may be associated with the most suicidal behavior, impulsivity driven by the feeling of hopelessness and easy access to lethal pesticides are common reasons for elderly suicides in rural China. Research has shown that suicide has been a normal way for senior citizens in an impoverished rural area to end their lives, especially for those suffering from illness. Jia Shahua, a professor at Dalian Medical University, said that the thinking among seniors seems to be, you are old and have become useless to your children and yourself. You can't live independently, you are unable to taste the tea. In Japan, young people are killing themselves because they have lost hope and are incapable of seeking help. The numbers first began to rise after the Asian financial crisis in '98. This climbed again after the 2008 worldwide financial crisis. While many older people still enjoy job security and generous benefits, nearly 40% of young people in Japan are unable to find stable jobs. However, the elderly have also had a high risk of suicide. Since the Japanese insurance system easily pays out suicides, there is sometimes an intolerable pressure on the elderly that most lovingly thing they can do is take their lives and thereby provide for their family.
And China are making efforts towards suicide prevention. The Chinese Ministry of Public Health aids the World Health Organization by annually providing research. In addition, in December of 2002, the first suicide prevention center was established in Beijing. Many prevention programs and research, however, relies on outside resources due to it being such a sensitive topic in China. The Japanese government has put a great deal of research in medical and social causes, such as hotlines, seminars, and support for those who have attempted suicide.
The overall suicide rate in China has decreased significantly over the past decade, but recent studies show this trend is reversing. The benefits of economic growth, such as higher employment and more educational opportunities for the rural population in particular, may have contributed to the reduced suicide rate in China. However, the recent rapid changes in socioeconomic conditions could have increased stress levels and resulted in more suicides. Last year had the lowest number of suicides in Japan since 1994. In all, 21,897 Japanese people took their own lives in 2016, a decline of 6.8% from the previous year. However, Japan's suicide rate is still 6th in the world and second among industrialized countries.